amen, amen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor Brian. It's so wonderful to be back and also to see many Canadians here. And that's wonderful. I'm going to speak about my life story tonight, show you some photos, and so you understand where I have come from. He changed my life in every way. In every way. Thank you so much. And I so often say emotionally too, because, some people, when they are a little bit educated from the Middle Eastern culture, it's a Pharisaic culture. Emotionally, they are hard to penetrate. The Lord also penetrated into my life emotionally, relationally, intellectually. So He amazed me in every way. Let me see if I can. These are my books. This is my life story, the house I left behind. Christ above all compares 9 world religions and beliefs, ideologies like socialism, humanism. It's a book of questions and compares them. What kind of questions you need to ask people, life-changing questions. And many questions that people cannot say no to them, because they are the questions of consciences. So that book speaks about them. It's good to have a little bit knowledge about other religions, especially in our contemporary time. This is what I'm going to encourage you in the next few days, that we really need to know the chapters of other people's life in order to be able to touch their consciences, their minds, their hearts. The other book, Understanding and Freedom, it's an apologetic book responding to the challenges of Muslims against Christianity, preparing you how to deal with their challenges, how to respond to them in a loving way. And the last one thoroughly compares Islam with Christianity in a doctrinal way. Seems this is not working. Is this on? No, off. Yeah. This is the country, Iran, I have come from. This is the country of Prophet Daniel and Esther. So Prophet Daniel was the second man in that country. Their tombs are still in Iran. I have come from the very northern part of Iran by the Caspian Sea, you see there? On the western side of Caspian Sea. Iranians are group of peoples. There are 420 group of people in Iran. They are powerfully attached to their culture. So the people I have come from they are called Talishi people. They speak a dialect of Persian dialect. I was born in a Muslim family. My father had 2 wives. Every Muslim man can have legally 4 wives and as many as concubines. So you can have a concubine for 1 hour. You go to a clergy and writes a marriage certificate for you for 1 hour. And so I'm sorry, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say to you, you can even have for 5 minutes. And that's called a blessing in Islam. Allah allowed that. It's a paganism has come into Islam, and they have legitimized in an Islamic way. So my father had 2 wives and 12 children. We were all living in in one house together. Because I was a good student in school, and so I was encouraged also to be good in religious area. That's the culture. If you're good in something, you have to be good in religions too. And I was really interested in becoming an educated person in my family, even from childhood. And among 12 children, I'm the only one have my doctorate. Only 2 had their, high school. The others didn't have that, education. So I was really interested, doing well, and I grew rapidly in religious area. From the age of 9, people called me to their religious ceremonies. So I chanted Islamic chanting, performed some Islamic rituals, and also recitation of the Quran. Reciting the Quran with voice. I have voice. I had voice. That voice is attractive. And so it brought honor to my family, honor to the community, if you're good in it. But I didn't know what I was reading in the Quran. It's in Arabic. You just, learn Arabic without knowing, understanding it, and you recite it with loud voice. And I'm sure Zach has heard it in Chad. And so because I was very much involved in religious things, you learn Islamic, teaching concerning non-Muslims. So I learned from childhood that Christians and Jews are unclean people. They do not carry the spirit of humankind. They only become humankind if they become Muslims. So Quran names them with many animals. There are pigs, monkeys and donkeys, worst of beasts, something like that. And sadly, in many Islamic communities, especially from the area I have come from, the word Christian and Jew are used as swear words. So 2 Muslims are fighting with each other. They call each other son of Christian, son of Jew. They brainwash you from childhood that you never think good about Christianity, about Judaism, and other religions. So that was the mindset. From the age of 9 also, I became very much interested in mystic philosophy. Iran has a very powerful poetic philosophy, Poetic. So I was very much involved in it. I have now 4 classical Iranian, poet book. They are all for the glory of Jesus Christ, because classical poetry are apologetic way of talking, like psalms. Psalms are poems. And then I started to know Jesus a little bit more than what Quran speaks about Jesus. Now the Quran, their book, speak about Jesus, speak about all other prophets, because the prophet of Islam started from the church. He went to a church for 30 years. The Islamic start is very much similar to the start of Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormonism. And his first wife was a Christian. They didn't know anything about Christianity. Churches didn't know, because they were in Saudi Arabia and the gospel was not in their language. So the prophet of Islam was accepted as a prophet in the church, a prophet for the church, because the word prophet was very famous among pagans. It still is the same. If you go to pagan countries, that some people come and prophesy in front of the idol. So it was very strong, and they wanted to contextualize, the mission to pagan people, and they called Muhammad the prophet of Islam. And actually, I have a photo made from a portrait of Muhammad from Vatican, in Vatican Museum, that they were actually preparing him to replace the older priest in the church. So I gave you this, little bit of introduction to understand why, the name of Jesus and other prophets are in the Quran. Because right from the beginning, he said he's a prophet in the line of the prophets of the Bible. As we do, today, if somebody called himself prophet or prophetess, identifies with the, prophets of the Bible. That happened there. That's why you can find the names of all prophets in the Quran. But what happened for 13 years, he never criticized the godhood and sonhood of Jesus Christ, because he was going to church. And after that, his wife died and the priest died, and he was under pressure in Mecca. He left Mecca, went to Medina. Everything changed, because in Medina there was no, Christian church there, and he took refuge in a tribe. It was a nationalistic Arabic tribe, pagan, and then he had no choice to align himself with their values, because he was a refugee there. If you do not belong to a tribe, then you can be sold as a slave. So the life was difficult in Saudi Arabia in that time. Anyhow, so Jesus then, after he moved to Medina, called him a prophet, not a God or son of God. And because he asked Jews to follow him, they didn't follow him, and he became angry at them. And then he became very wealthy through that tribe. That tribe's job was looting caravans. So he looted caravans, became very wealthy, and they employed a big army and went and forced Jews to follow him. They didn't follow, and he killed all of them. So allowed some of them to leave, but killed many of them. And so Jesus then was called as a prophet, and he started to use Christian Gnosticism against Christianity. So the first 13 years is a mild era of Islam. But the second era, 10 years, is very vicious, bloody, and full of hatred against Christians and Jews, and ending up calling Jews and Christians animals, that they have to be killed, they go to hell. They are all written in the Quran. But because I was involved with, poetic, mystic philosophy, I started to know Jesus a little bit more. Now, Jesus, it's amazing that God has left the witness in every culture in the world. Every culture you go there, God amazes you. There are some witnesses, and it's the same in Iran. So Jesus is the number one hero among classical poets. Why? Because he is the simplest person in the world. Mysticism is a simple life. You know that Hindu gurus, some of them even eat a bowl of rice a day. So they are very simple. They found that Jesus was the simplest among all. So our great philosophers in Iran, very famous philosophers, some of them are famous worldwide. If you are good in education, like Maulana Rumi is known in all over the world. If you go to your library, you can find his books translated into English. He says, "Die at the feet of Jesus as I died completely." So it's a big thing in Iranian culture. I didn't know really why he wanted to die at the feet of Jesus, not at the feet of his prophet Muhammad. I didn't know that, because always we were told that Islam is the best and perfect religion in the world. So only I found it after decades. I went to a church in Turkey and read the gospel, discovered why he said that. He had read the gospel, actually. Some Iranian classical poets have read the gospel, and they have actually written poems in line with the gospel. Like one of them has said, you will be, if you follow the Holy Spirit, you will be able to do whatever Holy Spirit does. So it's just taken from the gospel. Anyhow, but the environment really was a hostile environment toward Christianity, and especially Jews, the number one. And still, you didn't want anybody to call you, a Christian. But I praise his name. I have stories with him even while I was a young lad. He just tried to prepare a little booklet for me and amazed me one day. So I just start telling you my first story with him. I was in grade 7 in the school. One day we had a sport class, and our teacher didn't have any plan for us, so he led us to go to the playground and play anything we wanted. It was a boys' school, and so we 7 boys got together, trying to find the game and play with each other. One of the boys rushed and took a paper from his notebook and divided it into 7, because we were 7 boys, and wrote something inside each, and folded them, rolled them very well, came to us and mixed them very well in his palm, and said that each one of us going to take one and open the ballot in turn. The things written about in each speaks about our future. So we each took one, and in a friendly way, a couple of us were fighting with each other who should open the ballot at the end, to be the last. I became successful. I was the last one opened mine. We were in grade 7, 7 boys. I was the 7th one opened mine. I didn't know the significance of 7 in that time. The first one opened, there was written, you'll become a teacher in the future. So we tried to make our time fun with each other. We jumped, raised our voices, clapped, happy. The second one, you'll become a doctor. The other one, an engineer or army general, something like that. And each time each opened, the excitement was there. Now it's my turn. I thought mine would be the best. Why? Because I was more righteous than them. In Islamic belief, if you're more righteous, you get the best, you get more. And that's why, if you read the Quran, the Prophet of Islam has right for everything. He has right, he takes your wife. That's in the Quran, actually. He took his own daughter-in-law as his own wife, adopted son's wife. And, Allah said, well, if you have fallen in love with her, just reveal it and let the son-in-law divorce it. And it happened. It's in chapter 33. So righteous Muslims are the wealthiest Muslims in the world now, leaders. Ayatollahs in Iran, leaders in, Islamic leaders in Egypt and Islamic countries, because people follow them. They gave their tithes to them. So I'm saying mine would be the best. I opened mine, there was written, you'll become a follower of Jesus Christ. No fun anymore. That was the worst thing I could have in my life. I was embarrassed. I became angry and attacked the boy. That's what Islam has taught you. If somebody makes you angry, attack. So I attacked him, punching him. He started to cry. Other boys came to free him from my hand. I was just mad punching them too. While I was punching him, he was crying. He shouted over me, telling me, "Did I write it for you? You saw that I mixed them very well. We 6 took before you. We could have taken that. Why you're blaming me? It's your problem. It's your luck. You took it. Why you're punching me?" My little conscience told me he's right. He didn't put it in your hand. So I gave up punching him, killing him. But I did not play with them anymore. I went in a corner dealing with my problem, crying. That's horrible. That happened to me because I'm a righteous Muslim. People know I'm righteous. And I never forget that there was a question I asked myself in that time. I said, why it is horrible to be a follower of Jesus Christ? Jesus is one of the best prophets in Islam. They call him prophet. He's good. They know he gave life to people. He raised dead people. They know that. He is good. But why it is so terrifying to become his follower? I was unable to find the response to the question until I read the gospel. Anyhow, so you understand why I am here. It's because of him. That's why I'm saying to me, he emotionally also prepared the ground for me. Emotion is an amazing thing, brings you together. If you have got, logical reason never works without emotion. God has created us in a way they all need to complement one another to make a perfect unity, create a perfect unity. So I finished my high school and entered university. Unfortunately, in the university, I became a radical Muslim. First, I became like an agnostic person, like I called myself atheist, involved, with atheist group. The reason for that, because I became a very poor student. I was really a brilliant student, even in the university. Almost all my marks are A+. All my marks, still I have them. Sometimes I make fun with my kids. I say, would you like a photocopy? I give them to you. Such a brilliant student was unable to continue their study because of finance. Iran was a very wealthy country. That caused me to be angry at the ruling, authorities in the country. And so I was just searching for an excuse to join opposition. So I joined the, atheist opposition group. Why atheist? Because I told you, for years I was a righteous person. Why my God didn't help me? Why he is not helping me? And it forced me to sleep under a bridge like I saw in your town here, the big bridge like that, under that bridge. I was planning to live there. Imagine, a brilliant student. So that pushed me to join the opposition group. And then secretly we were studying, discussing, philosophical discussion, questions and responses. In that first year of discussion, I discovered that there must be a God for the universe. Just because of simple causal reason. Everything has a cause. Everything is for a reason. Consequently, I went back to Islam because I didn't know any other religion. Only Islam. You're always taught that Islam is the best. And philosophy doesn't speak about the values of a religion to reveal it to you. Philosophy is just, I mentioned to you, about God, how God is, whether he exists or not. And gradually I became, very, interested in this man, Ayatollah Khomeini, and I grew up, in that interest to the extent I wanted really to be seen like him. And I thought he is the solution for the country. And he promised lots of good things, to people. Anyhow, through protest and other things, and unfortunately, by the help of Jimmy Carter in this country, Jimmy Carter was behind this man. I'm here also really to encourage you to be the light of the politics in your country. I'm not interested to become a politician. In Australia, they actually called me to be, a parliamentarian. I'm not interested in that, but I am in light of politics. Jesus is the light of everything. He has light for everything. So he manipulated us. He deceived us. He said, we are going to have more democracy than the democracy in the West. We were blinded. He said, even we believed him. He said, the democracy West has, they have stolen from Muslims. We didn't know that democracy cannot be stolen. Democracy is something that you need to have some culture to flourish it, to create it. So we were just blinded. We became his follower, strictly, followed him, created, protests, and eventually Western countries like Jimmy Carter and others pushed the king of Iran to leave the country. And he left the country, fell into our hands. Because I had done something, I was a famous boy, like many others. This is me here. Initially, I was invited to start the Revolutionary Army with two others. A few months ago, Israel killed more than 40 commanders. I was going to be their chief commander. So I was going to be one of them. What happened? He didn't allow me to go. I didn't know him, but you remember that ballot? He had a plan for me. What happened, very soon I discovered that he deceived the people. Because before the revolution, he said he was not going to take any political position. After he took the political position, not only that, he passed a resolution in the parliament very slyly that he should be unquestionable. That's an Islamic law about the Prophet of Islam. If you question the Prophet of Islam in any Islamic country, you can get killed. So everything, he promised Iranians, he did the opposite. So I said, I'm not going to be a chief commander of the army, that he is the supreme commander, just to serve him and to destroy our country. Because Iranians had some experience in the history how mullahs, clergies, destroy community. They are just good for their colleges, to go there and teach people about religion. So that caused me to say no. And that no brought a whole lot of problems into my life. And then they started to fight with each other, clergies over the power. And even they killed each other. We were so much disappointed. We wanted democracy and freedom. What's happening in our country? And then he sent the entire money of the country to Syria and to Palestinians to capture Israel as soon as possible. Now, we hated Israel too, but we said, let us make our people strong first, because you are now disconnected. with all Western countries. What happened? They surprised Jimmy Carter too, because they captured your embassy. Very soon after that, Jimmy Carter possibly said, oops, my friend did this to me. Anyhow, so the country was disconnected with the West, no commodities and other things. Country was, becoming poor, and this guy, rather than buying products from other countries, spending the money to Palestinians and to Syria for Israel. Country became very poor. Our little children died because of, lack of nutrition. And so that made us angry. We became opposition. And then I went to my own hometown, became very famous there. I announced my candidacy for Islamic Parliament. But because I was very famous, Ayatollah's group really wanted me to become their member. Still, I'm in opposition, but they are encouraging me to go and join them. 3 times, almost they begged me to be the member of their party. And I rejected that. And that created a whole lot of chaos in my life. This is me actually in my hometown. I'm praying in a mountainous area. And also part of my job, still we were under his leadership. Still really we had planned to go and capture Israel. That's the mindset of all radical Muslims, no matter they, are enemy to one another. Like Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, they do not mix with each other, but all of them hate Israel. They have a plan to capture Israel. So I was also overseeing training young boys and girls with, fighting and, terroristic and killing techniques. This is me actually here in this photo. You see, I'm here too. And then in that campaign, I met a girl. This is my wife. She was the most aggressive girl among all other girls. I said, wow, this is mine. It's true. That's the religious leaders, really. They love radical girls and boys, aggressive girls, because they are very ready, for killing and for fighting. And so for the same interest, we got married. This is after our marriage. This is our first child, our eldest daughter now. She's the servant of the Lord now. She's not covered like my wife because she's not 7 yet. She's around 5. You cover your daughters from the age of 7 because the age of 7 is the age of marriage in Islamic culture. If your daughter is 7, she's a lady now. She needs to cover herself. She's ready for men with any age, even 80 years old. And still it is practiced in all Islamic countries. Just go and click online if you're interested to know what kind of pain these little girls have been going through. And some of them are disabled. They cannot be kept inside the house. United Nations is looking after them outside. But Muslim leaders are saying that, Allah has sanctioned it. It's the problem of these girls. It's not the problem of Allah. And a photo of my family. So here I was the candidate for Islamic Parliament. This photo was everywhere in my hometown. They invited me. I didn't go to their, join their party. But unfortunately, their religious police had penetrated very strongly. They were strong in our city, and they made their life really very difficult for me. Maybe I need a hot water. Can somebody provide me with a hot water, please? Excuse me for that. So what happened in the day of election, I was beaten by chain by them and fell unconscious in the street. Nobody was able to come and closer to me and help me. Such a chaos. I won the election. They didn't allow me to go to the parliament. They just sent their own people to the parliament. Just, election was just a show to show the international communities that they had election. But what happened, thank you so much, what happened, independence in the entire country won the election. In my city, independent lost, but they, won in all other parts. One of my colleagues became the president of the country with 88% of people vote. But Ayatollah's group, Supreme Leaders group, the chief commander of the Revolutionary Army, lost with 2% in less than a year. Iranians didn't want them, but it was too late. He was already the chief commander of the Revolutionary Army. And he started to get rid of the opposition, including the elected president of the country, one after the one. So the president ran away from the country. Imagine, president ran away from the country. Some were killed, some were able to run away. I was caught and put in a cell waiting on death row with 4 others in my room. All 4 were killed, and I am here for the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ. My fugitive story is a long one. Just shortly, in the first initiative I was caught, a religious guard's truck hit me and threw me into a valley. They thought I was dead, but I didn't die. And people found me and called family and friends. They looked after me. They couldn't take me to hospital because they said they thought that they would, inject poison and kill me in the hospital. So they brought traditional doctors to take care of the broken body, broken bones. It took 1.5 years for me just to stand like this. But it gained the momentum for me. I'm not going to really go into everything. It's going to take longer. Gained momentum for me because I was from a very strong tribe in Iran. People realized that government wanted to kill me, but I was after what happened, I didn't say to you how I came after I was in the prison waiting on death row. Some of my friends put their life in risk. They played some legal game. They released me temporarily so I could run away. That's why I caught in the border. And the others were killed. Hundreds of them in other cells were killed. So that was the first initiative. But in the second initiative, I found a legal way to cross the border through bribing. Not money bribing, political bribing. It's a long story. I don't know how to shorten it. So forgive me for that. I helped somebody who was elected for the parliament, and he promised me to help me to release my legal passport and remove my name from the blacklist in the border. And so anyway, I was caught again in the border because my name was in the blacklist. They had not removed it. And that was also painful because the religious guard was very close to kill me. They can't kill you because they have immunity. They can use a lot of excuses. He put the gun in my head. He said, do you think that this country is anarchic? Everybody can go from the border and go. I get out. And so I shouted over him because that's the culture. If you shout a little bit, you think that, you prove yourself you're right too. And so I told him, this is all legal. Go and call the officers. And he called the officers. By the way, before that, he just forced me to stand by the wall just like this, for 2.5 hours. He even ordered me that you should not even look like this. Just stand like this. 2.5 hours. Emotionally very painful. Some of our brothers actually were persecuted, brothers and sisters in, socialist countries, in Islamic countries like that. I stayed there 2.5 hours. It was really painful, but they forced them to stay by the wall for 10 hours, 14 hours. Richard Wurmbrand was one of them. He started Voice of Martyr. So I honestly was so crushed emotionally there. He has gone there calling the officers. He is not getting response. The immigration office, mayor's office, and the judge's office. But I am here really emotionally crushed. At the last moment, just around 2.5 hours, there was a silent but deep cry in my heart to God. Telling God, I don't know who He is. I don't believe in Islamic God any longer. I read the Quran in the prison. I said, no, this cannot be God. But I still believe there is one God. I cried to that God. I said, seems to me there is no one in this world to help me. And just after that cry, that vicious chief religious guard comes to me like an angel and tells me, I'm sorry to keep you here for 2.5 hours. I called officers. They didn't answer. Now, those officers should have 24-hour people there, open and respond people's call. But he didn't get any call there. You see how the Lord is working for me? So he called, but I don't, he said to me, he actually called one of his guards. He said, take him, stamp his passport so he can go to Turkey. But I didn't believe him. You don't believe religious, God, because I was in prison. I know them. I thought maybe he's playing game. From his office to the custom was around 100 yards, open space. So guard, I am walking there, I don't feel my legs because I'm thinking he's going to shoot me from behind. And so eventually the guard took me there and stamped my ticket, my passport. I entered Turkey. I jumped in a bus. The bus kept, for breakfast in the following morning in a town. And I called my wife to tell her that I'm in Turkey. And as soon as she took the phone, she is shouting with loud voice, don't go closer to the border. What happened, the guy left the message for the mayor. Mayor gets the message later and calls the border that bring him back. So she's afraid now. She's just trying to convince me that don't go closer to the border. And I shouted over her. I said, would you please allow me to talk? And so she allowed me to talk. I told her that I am in Turkey now. I just said that the phone disconnected because they were listening to her phone. So that's the way I ran away. It's the short version. Sorry for that. I need to stay faithful to this, and I don't know. This teaches you why I love Jesus so much, and how a person has gone through those hardships, loves Jesus. That's why I'm eager to describe it to you. So in Turkey, I didn't know about my future, really. What will happen to me. Turkish is my mother language, so I spoke 2 languages from childhood. To my dad, Iranian language, to my mom, Turkish language. So it was not difficult for me to live in Turkey. But I needed a visa to live in Turkey. I was not a wealthy man, to live with my money there. So I thought to become a student in that country, so I get my student visa, I would be able to live there. That was my thought only about visa to become a student, but I didn't know Jesus had a different plan through that visa. So I enrolled in a university for a doctorate program, and with my supervising professor, I chose a major for my doctorate, how religions, cultures, and philosophical beliefs shape people's life. Their culture, their personality, their family, their leadership, their morality, their ethics, and everything. How do they do that? Because they are very important in business. Business people, these multinational corporations, they are very good in that because they want to make money. They need to know the culture of people. So that was my job, to investigate about the world's major religions and ideologies like socialism, humanism, New Age, and others, and with religions like Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, world's major religion, Christianity, to compare them in what way they influence their followers. Now, before doing that, I told you, I didn't believe that much in the God of Islam, but culturally it was still here. Maybe I'm going to find good things about Islam and be convinced really that these clergies hijacked Islam in Iran, so Islam is good. I never thought about Christianity, honestly. For 30 years, just being brainwashed that Christianity is the worst religion in the world. They hate Christianity. They know Christianity is influential, and that's why they demonize Christianity from childhood. They teach you, so you never think about that. So I never thought about Christianity. I was actually thinking a little bit positive about Iranian ancient religion, Zoroastrianism. That's also in the book. But didn't think about Christianity. So after my investigation and piling all data, I was amazed and shocked. Shocked because of Islam. I found Islam was the least of all other religions. Now, nearly 2 billion Muslims think that Islam is the only best religion and perfect religion in the world. It's the least of all other religions. Paganism, doctrinally speaking, I'm not speaking here politically. Doctrinally speaking, paganism is better than Islam. Because I'm talking socially, not spiritually. Spiritually, all of them are in darkness. Socially, paganism calls you God, but Islam calls you animal. Paganism is a little bit better than Islam, calling you God. And I was amazed because of Christian values. I found that Christianity was in every way amazing. Amazing and superior in every way. So I'm trying really to reflect some of them through these 3 days to you, and really we need to know them. And if we know them and we prepare also to reflect them to the society, I promise you, you will be 100% winner. It amazed me. They don't call it Christian culture in the university. They call it Western culture, But it's a Christian culture. Christian family. What kind of family Christianity has established, that's unique in the world. You cannot find such a community in the world, but in Christian families. A wife, a husband come together, they become one with each other. And the absolute source of love is always in between. And so the interest of one is never threat to the interest of the other one. They are fully united with each other. They think with each other. They manage with each other. They harvest with each other. You know, that's unity. You cannot find it anywhere. Not in Islam. Islam, actually, Quran teaches you can beat your wife. Your wife is not a fully humankind. The Prophet of Islam said they carry the spirit of beast. Hinduism, similar. Socialism is disaster. Socialism, actually, they think that they really follow freedom. In socialism, freedom doesn't make sense. That neither socialists know what socialism is, nor, sadly, Christians. You know, they have penetrated and ruined our offices in this country. Socialism doesn't have anything. Socialism is the law, follows the law of jungle. It's the thesis, anti-thesis, fighting with each other, and whatever comes is good. It's war. It's a war doctrine. You know, just in a sense, it's just similar to Islam. And they are speaking about freedom in this country. Yeah, we are the freedom lovers, they say. They even do not know the establisher of socialism, Marx and Engels, said freedom is evil. We just use freedom to destroy freedom. Nobody knows in this country, you know. So it was amazing to me to find that unity really in a country starts from a family. It should start from the family. If all families here are united by the source of absolute love, that unity is going to flourish everywhere. The organizational culture was amazing to me. Christian organizational culture is the best culture in the world. It's called the most creative culture in the world. As I mentioned to you, they do not call it in the university Christian culture, they say Western culture. Western culture, civilization is coming from the pages of the gospel. They don't want to say it because socialists have penetrated universities. Their aim is to put an end to Christianity. That's why they do not speak about Christianity. They speak about Western culture. They are teaching our children the freedom we have in this country is just the Western culture, you know. The organizational culture, the best one, is the organizational culture of the church that the businesses have taken. They are using it, and it's creative, and they are making money with it. Why it is creative? It says, in your organizations, all are the members of one body. Have you thought about it? Think about my body. I'm 71 years old now. In the last 71 years old, for a single moment, I never witnessed my hand say to my leg, I hate you. They love each other. Something happens to my finger, my eyes cry. Oh my goodness, you see the unity? 100% unity. That organization is successful. That organization is amazing. That organization amazed me. And leadership, it amazed me. The leadership of Christianity is the toughest leadership in the world, is the best and creative leadership in the world. In the university, it's called humble participative leadership. Humble leader who allows people to share their opinion. Who is that person? Jesus Christ did that. Only He did that in the world. That's His leadership. The leader, He says, the greatest among you should be the servant of all. That leadership is successful in everything, in making money, in creating unity, and in protecting freedom, individual freedom, and everything. That's your leadership. It amazed me. I was really amazed. It changed my worldview about Christianity. But I was not yet Christian, a follower of Christ. The good thing about Him is, when He starts work in your life, He never leaves it in half. He does perfectly. He is perfect in everything. He does that perfectly. What happened, I was a partner to a businessman in Turkey, an Iranian refugee. He had a business there. I put my money with his to make more money, as well as, studying in the university. But after a while, he took all my money and he's run away to Germany. So I wanted to chase him legally. I couldn't do that because I didn't have any name in the company. Then I tried to find a friendly way to approach him. I didn't know any friend of his in Turkey. One day I remembered that there was a Christian group coming to him. You see how Jesus is relating? He is working. A Christian group, Iranian Christian group in Turkey, they had a church there, was coming to him sometimes, trying to convert him. I said, how about? I was not interested in their mission, Anytime they came to the office, I just left. But now, I am thinking, what if I go to the church? Maybe they give me some ideas about him to me. So for the first time, I'm deciding now here to go to church. I went to the church for my money, not for Christ. So I went to the church. It was amazing, honestly. I mean, my life story is too long. They were playing music there. That amazed me. Playing music in a worship place? A worship place is the place of preparing people to hate others. That's what I had learned, to kill others. They're playing music, they're happy in a worship place. And it was amazing to see ladies were singing here in front of men. Ladies singing in front of men? That was amazing. You cannot find a lady in a mosque. They are behind the wall, behind the curtain. They never raise their voices. So it was amazing to me. In a sense, frightening too. Because if a Muslim sees me here, that's horrible. If they report to Iran, that's going to be horribly bad for my family. They are going to persecute my family. Anyhow, my mind was all focused on my money. So after the worship, they came and welcomed me very warmly. I shared my story with them. They offered their help to me to find him in Germany. How you can find him? He said, we have many friends there, Christian friends. We can write to them. That was just writing time, not the email time. So we write to them, they search and they find him. Then they told me, keep in touch with us. If we get any response, so we would be able to share that with you. I said, how can I keep in touch with you? They said, come to the church. Now, a Muslim shouldn't go to a church, especially a fugitive Muslim. You know, it's terrible. But unlike my desire, I said, yes, okay, yeah, I come. But in my heart, honestly, I said, money is not, more important than my life. Anyhow, I went home. I said, I have a family. Almost all my money has gone. I had a plan for my family. And so I need to show myself there so they understand that I'm serious. I didn't lie to them. So after that, Sunday after Sunday, I went to the church, again for my money. I discovered God in that church. That's why church is so important in God's kingdom. I found them very respectful people. Because I had told myself, don't listen to their messages. That's an Islamic order. If you do, they put impact on you, you're putting your life in danger. But I saw them amazingly nice people, kind people. They respect each other in an amazing way. They respect their wives. In the Quran says wives should stay at home. They should not go out. It's in Quran chapter 33. If you go out, you have to cover yourself. Nobody knows who you are. And even your husband, your children do not know whether you're the mother of them or not. But here, the ladies are respected highly. One day I was talking to the pastor, and then after that his wife joined. In an Islamic belief, committed Muslims do not allow their wives to come in front of the strangers to talk. So I'm talking to him, his wife came and joined. And now his wife is talking. And he's staring at the face of his wife like you were staring here to your wife then. But he was nodding in favor. He was happy his wife was speaking. It amazed me, really. I said, wow, these people are ungodly people. We call them infidel and ungodly. How nice this ungodliness is. If this is ungodly, really I want to become ungodly. And I started to listen to their messages. Okay, can I continue? I honestly lost this. It was amazing. When you see the niceness in people, you listen to them. That's the culture in all over the world. You build trust with your niceness. That's what God came to this world, to build trust, relationally to build trust. That was amazing. I started to listen to their messages. Their messages amazed me. I told you I was always interested in philosophy. They were saying, for the first time I heard this, that God in the Bible is the relational God. In philosophy, it's called personal God. So you can have a relationship with God. I never knew that. The world's philosophies are teaching gods are impersonal. That's the Greek philosophy. That's what Plato, Aristotle and others taught. God is impersonal. He is unknown because he is unable to reveal himself. Actually, Neoplatonism said, how do we know even he exists if we do not know, if he doesn't reveal? It's a clever idea anyhow. So these people, these tiny people, little church, maybe around 50 people, they are speaking amazingly powerful philosophy, even though they do not know what philosophy is. You know, when you say, I am in relationship with God, you're speaking philosophy. You are in relationship with God, it really woke me up. Their logic was amazing. That if God is not personal, he cannot have image. In other words, in a practical, in a material way, if God is not personal, he cannot have brain. Because only personal being can have brain and image. If God is not personal, then how he designed this world if he had no image? God must have image in order to design here, plan it there, and then put plan into practice. I said, this is so yummy. This is really delicious. This is making sense. This is so powerful. God must be personal. And I tell you, all Muslims and all Hindus, all others who believe in God, they really have a deeper desire to have a relationship with God. But only their religion says to you, no, God is not personal for you to have a relationship. So it was amazing to me. I continued to listen to them. And then I had a dream. In my dream, I was in my father's house, exactly in my father's old house, a muddy house. And there was earthquake, people died, houses were destroyed, chaotic, frightening. I was alone in my father's house. I cried to God, I said, I'm alone here, nobody is here to help me. Jesus revealed himself to me in the dream and said, come out from your father's house, I'll help you. So I rushed out from my father's house. My father's house collapsed. I woke up, I saw that was a dream. The following Sunday, I went to the church. I heard that message from the pulpit. Somebody was preaching about those verses that Jesus said, a wise person should build a house on the solid ground, not on sand. In his message, I heard the same sentence, come out from your father's house. Because everything can destroy your father's house, but Jesus has built a house for you on the rock. Nothing can destroy it. So it amazed me. I said, what's happening here? My university study amazed me. Their message is amazing me. What is this dream? Should I read their book myself? I grabbed the New Testament and I started to read that. New Testament is an amazing God philosophy book among all other religions' books. In every way, New Testament is amazing, but New Testament not only reveals God to you, but puts your hands in the hands of God, unites you with God. There are amazing passages in the New Testament that really touched my mind and heart in an amazing way. Like John chapter 1. John chapter 1 is the strongest philosophical chapter. He is the Word. The Word is the definition of God in philosophy. in all religions. If you ask what is God, they say the Word. What kind of Word? They say impersonal, you say personal. They say non-revealing, you say revealing, relational, redeeming. You know, that's what says. God reveals himself to you in the gospel. Why? To make himself known to you. Because he is not interested in blind obedience or relationship. If you really want to fall in love with someone, you need to know that person. That's what our God is. He reveals himself to you to establish a strong relationship and unity with you. That's what gospel says in John chapter 1, verse 14. We saw his glory, his truth, his beauty. They were marveled, they were amazed to see God's character in Jesus Christ. They fell in love with him, and I did. I read the gospel for the first time, finished it. I discovered gods in all other religions are man-made God. Their personalities is exactly like your personality, my personality. They create evil. They say also we are good. Sin is coming from other gods. Evil is coming from other gods. They are the creators of evil. And so that's why everybody needs to know Jesus. I started to read the gospel for the second time. The love of Christ was amazing to me. I discovered that he is the only one having the right definition for love. Love must be unconditional. Mathematically 100%. I see a lot of spouses here together. Have you ever said to your spouse, honey, I love you 85%? Can you dare to say that? How about 99.99%? That's almost 100%. Honey, you will be happy. I mean, that's big, really. 99.99%. And then honey asks you, well, where are you going to use that 0.1%? Where are you going to use that? That's mine, but you're saying that 99.99%, you're going to use that with somebody else? You see how amazing he is? How truthful he is? He said love must be 100%. Only 100% love can create 100% commitment. Unconditional love only belongs to Jesus, not to any other religion and ideology. Fully amazed. I said, I'm going to give my heart to him. I was convinced, and after that he did other amazing things. You see, I'm smiling here. I was not smiling even my wedding, you saw that. We are talking to two Muslims there. You see, that American brother, he's invested his entire life among Iranians. He's with the Lord now. He spoke Iranian just like Iranians. Then brought my wife and 3 children. They joined me in Turkey. She didn't know I was a follower of Christ. My wife was an aggressive lady. You couldn't tell her. Because in Islamic rule, if you change your religion, your spouse should divorce you and cooperate with leaders to kill you. I didn't want to push her to that chaos. Wanted her to come and see the changes in my life. And so she came and she saw changes in my life. I was smiling. You don't know religious, radical Muslim men. You don't understand them, honestly. They never smile to their wives. They are always there as if they are just training an animal. You know, they can beat them, they can lock them in the room. They are all written in the Quran. Quran chapter 4, verse 15, it says, lock your wife in the room until she dies. It's there, you know. So that kind of changes. She saw that I was happy. I was excited. And also, I had bought an Iranian instrument. I was learning music. Music is evil in Islam. You never play music in a worship place. If radical Muslim, God forbid, even they come to your church, they force you to take them out, not to use them. That's happening in Islamic countries, in some of them. So then I was helping her in the kitchen. Now, Iranians really do that. They follow their ancient culture, but I'm talking about committed Muslims. Helping her in the kitchen, playing with my children. She was happy to see me that way, but she was afraid that I had lost my mind. So how I'm going to deal with him. But gradually, she discovered, no, this is not the loss of mind. This is something is happening. So she told me in the second week that, why you're doing this? What has happened to you? That was the first time I was afraid of my wife. I really made the life of my wife hell in Iran. You know, just followed Islam. I terrified my children. And even after 10 years believing in Christ, my children were unable to forgive me. It's such a horrible life. And so I was afraid what to say to her, because if she knows I am a Christian now, then I have lost my power. I'm not dad any longer. I'm not husband any longer. And she's an aggressive lady. Life is going to be difficult. And she really took revenge. And so I started to cry to Jesus. By the way, I want to tell you, my lecture is not going to be longer. I will follow 1 hour. I promise you. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. Maybe I shouldn't have given the introduction about Islam to you. So I started to cry to Jesus, complain to him actually. I said, Lord, why you're rushing, Lord? I need time. I was thinking you could give me a month or 2 months, little by little, you know, step by step, to reveal this to her. This is the second week, Lord. If I tell her, my life is going to be chaotic, painful. She's going to take the children and go back. She's such a person, you know. Do you want really to come and help me? That's what you're rushing? And I praise his name. He was aiming to come and help me. And he came. I really praise the name of the Lord Jesus. I do really. I do. That doesn't mean, my dear brothers and sisters, I'm better than you. No. As Paul says, this flesh is horrible. It tries to take us to death. But I'm just speaking about his grace. He came in. I shared with her that I'm a follower of Christ now. She was terrified. It's terrifying, especially for moms, because in Islamic law, if you cooperate with your convert husband, or if you become Christian, then your children do not belong to you. Imagine you take the children from parents, especially from moms. Terrifying. She was terrified. What kind of husband you are? What kind of dad you are? You never thought about your children, your wife? I told her, please don't be afraid. He is going to help you. She was deaf to hear that. She was just terrified. But he had done something in Iran for me. That in Iran, she wanted to join me. She vowed not to go back to the country. The leader of the country sanctioned that parents can give their daughters 9 and above years old for short marriages too. For a day, for 2. We had 3 daughters. Now, there are some families that say, no, I'm not going to do that. But there are people who force you to do that. If you don't do that, they splash acid on your children. So she was terrified. We have 3 children. What I'm going to do in this country, I'm not going to come back to this country any longer. That was for me. Now, she knows I'm a Christian. She has vowed not to go there. She knows that if she goes there, she's exposing our children to risk in that country. Lord is working for me. She remained there. Now she is the boss. So even tells me, you don't speak about Christ to anyone. You know? Taking revenge. And so I can't talk to her now, but now I'm talking to the church ladies. Could you please call my wife and, build friendship? Then she's also gradually amazed week after week that, no, I'm really a changed man. She says, really, gospel changed him? In my absence, without asking me, she was taking my gospel and reading it to see whether there is something in the gospel that changes people. She never told me because she's an aggressive girl. And she doesn't want to confirm what I have done, because if you read my book, that means, yeah, I'm okay with you. She doesn't want to rush in that. But she doesn't tell me she's reading it sometimes. One night I caught her with my book. It was not night, actually. It was in the morning, around 2 o'clock. I woke up, I went to the bathroom, I came back to the room. She was not in the room. She didn't come. I couldn't sleep. I worried, where is she? I went out to the living room. I saw she's in a corner. She's reading a book. And getting closer to her, I saw that was my book. I said, what are you doing? It's 2 in the morning. Oh, you're reading my gospel? It's amazing, my brothers and sisters. She was reading Matthew chapter 19. Matthew chapter 19 is the powerful chapter for Muslim ladies. Matthew chapter 19 says, 1 husband, 1 wife. In Islam, 1 husband, many wives. In Iran, I made her life hell to give me permission to have my 2nd, 3rd, 4th wives. But in the first year of the revolution, the law was not changed. I needed her confirmation, but she didn't allow me. She never liked her husband to have the 2nd, 3rd wife. That's very popular in Islamic world. Not many men really follow that, but that's the law in those countries. So she didn't have any support in Iran, but only the pressure of husband. Many wives really allow. My dad acted like that, made the life of hell. My mom, she allowed him to have the second wife. Now she has taken the gospel, randomly has opened it. Matthew chapter 19 has come. She reads one husband and one wife. She says, yeah, this book is a good book. When I saw that, I said, oh my goodness, you're reading Matthew chapter 19? That's an amazing chapter. She smiled at me, and then she said, it's not your business, go and sleep. So I went and shut the door, knelt down there. I said, you're an amazing evangelist. You know how to touch hearts. And after that, I encouraged her to join ladies' meeting, but she was terrified still. You know, it's terrifying. She said, don't push me. So that's why I went to the ladies. Call her, please, build friendship with her. And they did for ladies, and she just used excuses. You know, people who are living in collectivist societies, mainly in Islamic societies, they have a lot of excuses. Lots of excuses, because culture is called a secret culture, implicit culture. They use a lot of excuses. So these ladies are Christians. They called her several times. Now they are afraid to offend her. So they didn't call her. And I went back to them and said, why you stop calling? She said, well, we don't want to offend her. I said, please offend her for the sake of Jesus Christ. My wife needs really Jesus Christ. And they called her, and she said, oh, these people are very pushy. Let me just go there once, you know, maybe I can find an excuse and use that excuse. She didn't know that Jesus was very clever. She went there and found the ladies like princesses, free. Oh my goodness, they are speaking with freedom. And my sisters, all of you here, you are princesses of heaven. We are princes of heaven, really. People outside do not know that. That's why we need to go to them and bring them in to see that identity in us. She was amazed, really. She said, wow, we are calling our religion the best, but we are in the best prison, you know, in perfect, you know, jailed, perfectly jailed in this. But they are free. We call their religion, you know, ungodly religion. She was amazed, really. And she came home. I said, how was it? She said, yeah, it was good. Are you going to continue? Yeah, I think so. And she continued, and then she had a dream. Her dream was amazing. She was walking with Jesus in a dream with several other ladies, and all of a sudden they came to a steep valley, and Jesus and other ladies walked through it very easily. She was afraid to fall down. She couldn't go. And Jesus called her, don't be afraid, just take your first step. And she took the first step. The valley was lifted up. The whole land became flat, and she walked. In the morning, she told me, she said she had a dream. She said what she had. I jumped and brought my Bible, opened Isaiah chapter 40, speaks about that. And even Gospel speaks about that. Whole valleys and mountains will become level. Why? Because mighty God is walking in front of you. You just need to put your trust in Him. So I'm reading the passage to her. She is crying now. I'm crying. And I asked her, why you're crying? She said, why you're crying? I said, well, as if something is happening. So that was the morning, really. God softened her heart. She's not yet a believer. She told me, I think He's just telling me to put my trust in Him. And that was the first morning in my entire life I called her honey. That was the first time. And then she read the gospel, and eventually she gave her heart to the Lord. And the Lord changed the entire family in an amazing way. my brothers and sisters, maybe I will have time to give a few stories of my children, how God came in and amazed us. But as I mentioned to you, his logic, his love really was the only motivating thing for us to believe that we are not only saved for ourselves. You know, salvation is not personal, is missional too. It's for the world. And so he has been using us. I'm really sorry for taking more time. So after here, I'm going to Brother Aaron. He's going to judge me. So God bless you all. Thank you.